YouTube, what is poppin', as the cool kids say? I'm Mudit Verma, and right now I'll be talking about my 3 favorite things upon moving to New York City. First and foremost, what brought me to New York was my pursuit of stand-up comedy. I'm originally from Maryland, born and raised, went to college and pharmacy school in Maryland. The letters MD are even in my first name. So I moved to New York for stand-up comedy. It was the most sensible move in order to see what I can do with that particular art form. First favorite thing of mine about New York City is that it is a judgment-free zone. Shout out to Planet Fitness. Here in New York City, I've met every kind of person with every kind of story. There are more people and there are more stories to learn about. For example, I have a doctorate degree that corresponds to a profession of licensure, but I'm not licensed. In other words, I have a pharmacy degree, but I am not a licensed nor practicing pharmacist. I've met many similar folks with advanced degrees, yet not practicing, many of whom are artists and are stand-up comics like myself. The most common example that I've seen here in New York are law graduates that are not barred, I think, as they say. I don't know if barred is the right word. They don't practice law here in New York. They work other jobs that maybe their law degree helped them get, in the same way that I work clinical trials, logistics jobs that my pharmacy degree was able to help me get. All of which can support our living expenses to pursue our dreams here in New York City. I always feel funny saying that because, like, what if either my current boss or future employer in the clinical trial space sees this? I'm sure they'll think that my stand-up is cool, but they're gonna be just taken aback that being a regulatory writer just wasn't the big dream for me. It's also worth noting that being an artist has liberated me from not only the status quo, but its toxic enablers. I did not get along with a lot of my peers in pharmacy school, as well as the senior level mentors in pharmacy school. Not because they're bad people, but because we saw things very differently. They very much aligned with the existing status quo. It was better for me to get out. The second favorite thing about New York City is the 24-hour MTA. By having a public transportation system that is always running 24/7, you don't really have to think about when the last train will arrive, because there is no last train. Back home near DC, there would definitely be last trains. We would go to concerts and shows that would end after that last train would leave, which would hike up our Uber prices. Lyft wasn't available. The third awesome thing about New York City that I love is that there's geographic clout. And that sounds superficial, bizarre, and made up, because I did make it up. But the truth is, I am an introvert that also needs attention. It's a bit of a paradox. It's also why I do stand-up comedy. It's sort of a one-person sport, but it's contingent upon a sizable audience paying attention to you. So by being in New York, I'm relieving myself of any FOMO, because this city is literally the coolest place to be. So I could stare at a wall for an entire weekend in New York City and not feel bad about it because I stared at a wall in New York City. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, but the fact that I'm doing it here in New York makes it that much more cooler than everything else that everyone else is doing. Wow, I am tired, but this video was fun. It was a little bit more lighthearted, I think. At least I feel more lighthearted than some of the other videos I made. I'll see if I actually upload this, because I don't know if I'm having a bad hair day or if the dark circles surrounding my eyes look too awful. But please like, comment, subscribe, give me attention. Namaste.